Hi, guys, and welcome to episode number 43 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, and today is Saturday, the 18th of June 2016. Thank you so much for watching my podcast today. I am super excited because today is the first episode that I'm filming in our new apartment in Munich. And I will probably talk lots about the move later, so for those of you who didn't watch before, I just moved cities together with my boyfriend. So everything's a little bit new, but now I am in my beautiful office/craft room, and I am just so excited to be recording here. I'm not sure how good the quality is going to be because I'm recording in front of the window, but today is rather a gloomy sort of darky day. So I'm hoping the lighting will be okay, but it'll just be a little bit of trial and error until I figure this whole thing out. I also feel like my voice is sounding weird in this room just because there's not that much on the walls yet, so it sounds a little bit hollow, but I hope that that doesn't matter with the recording and it'll be fine. So thank you so much for watching today. If you're here for the first time, I really hope you enjoy it, and if you've been coming back every week, then thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the amount of people I meet through this podcast, through Instagram, and just connections I make. It's really fun and rewarding for me. So today I have the knit along to talk about works in progress, acquisitions, and then probably a rather long life in general section just because a lot of stuff has been happening. So that'll be at the end. If you don't want to stick around for that, that's totally fine. Before I start, I am drinking tea in my new favorite mug, which is a Harrods mug from London, and it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it has like golden bits on it. And the funny thing is that my family was in England about 3 weeks ago, and they brought me a mug because I love mugs. And they brought me a huge, like one of those extra large cups with the English flag. And then my boyfriend was in London for work a week later, and he brought me this mug, and I love both of them. So today I'm drinking a chamomile, vanilla, and honey tea, I think. I must say it's not my favorite, but it is quite okay. So that's my tea. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is, you can see behind me is my stash. So that's the shelf where I store all of my yarn, and you can see I have Shaun the Sheep draped over because I love Shaun the Sheep. And I will probably show you my stash and my craft room and everything a bit closer once this room is completely finished, because quite a few people have been asking about that. They really wanted to see a tour of the craft room, and even though now everything is essentially in the room, I think I'm not quite organized yet, so I wanted to be perfect before I show it to you guys. But I might include a couple of photos or something here. So before I talk about the cowl, I'll just quickly turn off the camera and check that everything is recording, and then I'll be back. So, sorry, I just had to pause because I was really worried that something would be wrong with the recording. So I paused and checked, and I also turned on another light because I feel like it's getting darker and darker outside, and that's really not working well with my recording. So anyways, very quickly, let's talk about the knit along. So we have the squishy cowl going on, which is a knit along for my new pattern, the Squishalicious shawl, which I released in June. And because I never had a knit along for my first pattern, which is the Crazy Days shawl, you can also knit that one, and both of these patterns will count for the squishy cowl. So the cowl runs until July 31st. And if anyone realizes that they run out of time, I'm happy to extend it because frankly I haven't made that much progress on mine. Some of you guys are racing through that. I'm really amazed by that, but yeah, like I said, you'll see I haven't made that much progress. So I hope you guys want to join in because it's really fun. I've never had a knit along just for my pattern or for a specific pattern. So of course I don't expect that many people to enter, but yeah, I'm just really happy that some of you guys are knitting with me and enjoying the pattern, and yeah, it's just good fun. And we also have a prize. So you can win this beautiful bag from my friend Katrina. She made this and it's absolutely perfect, like I said last time when I showed this to you. So it's got this really cute and beautiful sewing fabric on it. And it has a progress keeper or zipper pull. And I'm not very good at showing this to you. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the new setup. Come on, focus. And as you can see, it has a handle. And inside it's lined with this beautiful sort of linen fabric and her tag, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And no, you don't only get the bag, she also made this beautiful needle cozy. So if you don't know what a needle cozy is, it is just this little pouch and you can put your DPNs inside. I'll show you mine in a second, I just don't want to mess with this one because it's a prize. And that's a perfect way to store your sock needles while you're working on a sock and you don't want the stitches to fall off. So this will be the prize, and if anyone else would like to donate a prize, please just get in touch with me. But like I said, I don't think that's going to be that many entries, and if there are going to be a lot more, I'll definitely have a look out for another prize. But yeah, so this is the prize. I probably won't show this every week, but here you go. So I really hope that you guys would like to join in, and thanks again to Katrina for donating that. I'm just realizing I haven't told you what I'm wearing today. I'm actually wearing a handmade wardrobe, but not really because I planned it, just because it happened that way. So this is the first and only garment I've ever sewn. It is a simple tee, and I forgot who it's. Oh, it's by the blog Always Autumn. And it's the simplest t-shirt you could imagine, and I sewed it a couple of months back, I think. And the cardigan I'm wearing is, of course, my featherweight, which I love very much. It's a pattern by Hannah Fattig, and I knit it out of Holzgarn Coast, which is the Holzgarn cotton and wool blend. So I actually wear this all the time. It was really boring to knit because I don't like to knit with neutrals, but then I really do wear it so much, and it works perfectly with anything. The only thing is that I still think the arms are a little bit too tight for the shoulders for my taste. Even though I knew this beforehand, so I increased a few more stitches than it says in the pattern. I think if I were to knit it again, I would make the arms even a little bit more wide. So I think I increased 4 stitches on every side, and maybe I should go up to 8 next time, because I'm definitely planning to knit this pattern again. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing, and I will move on to works in progress, because I don't have any finished objects. I'm actually in this weird stage where all my works in progress are or have been at this sort of 50% mark, so I'm not close to finishing anything, which feels really weird because I always like to have, a new project and one that's almost finished and so on. But anyways, just quickly showing you my blanket. I think I only knit 1 or 2 squares this week. But this is my blanket. It's becoming quite large. And I think this week I knit this brown one. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I knit this brown one, which is my Labrigo sock. And then I added this one, which is hedgehog fiber in the rusty nail colorway. And I probably wouldn't have worked on my blanket at all if I had not needed to pack it away. So I didn't want to pack it away with the needles inside before moving, so I finished the square and I love it. But yeah, I have been putting it away a little bit just because I felt like I really need to make some progress on at least one of my projects, because all of them are a little bit in, I don't know, yeah, at this weird stage at the moment. But anyways, this is my blanket, and I will just cover myself with it now. So, what should I show you next? In this bag, which is from Mina Makes, I have my monkey socks. So monkey socks are a pattern by Cookie A. And I already finished the first one last week, so you've seen this one before if you've watched before. This is the first sock, and you can see the monkey socks pattern. I am doing the one with the pearls, which I really quite like, and I think it's working really well with the yarn. I threw in a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and obviously the bottom of the foot is an all knitted stockinette, and I really like how the yarn is coming out in that as well. Come on. So that's the first one, and I started the second one. I think I had just started it last week. Oh yeah, see, the stitch marker was where I had it last week. And this project went into a little bit of hibernation, and I really wasn't feeling it, and I never put things into hibernation, but with this one I was so close to just putting it away, and I think the main reason is that the finished sock is a little bit too tight for me. And I was just really upset about that because I love this yarn and I've been sort of saving this yarn for the perfect project for a while, so I actually thought about ripping them out. But I mean, they fit. They're just a little bit tight, but once they're on the foot, it's fine. So I decided to keep going, and I picked it up, I think, the day before yesterday, and I actually made a lot of progress. So I felt like the sock was taking me forever, but really it isn't. So I think I knit from the stitch marker to the heel in one day. And bear in mind, I haven't had that much time to knit at all this week. And then last night I picked it up and put in the heel, and I'm about halfway down the foot now. So yeah, progress is going pretty well. I don't know, now I really like the pattern again as well. I don't know, I just sort of had this phase where I didn't really feel like working on it, but now that I'm actually really enjoying it. Because it is a 13 row repeat, I think, or 11 rows, but it is so intuitive if you've knit a couple of socks or pattern things in general before. I don't need to look at the pattern at all anymore, so it is basically, I mean, you have to focus a little bit more than a Hermione's Everyday Sock, but it's really not that difficult at all. So I definitely think I will knit this pattern again. I think part of why I wasn't enjoying it and also why they came out a little bit too small is because I'm using needles that I don't like. And I think I was just cramping up also, maybe with stress knitting, your gauge changes a little bit. And so with this one, I'm knitting it a little bit looser, and I think this one will be perfect. So the needles that I'm using are 2.25 millimeter Adi Premiums. And I used to really like these needles, but now I really prefer sharper needles, such as the Higher Sharps. I do actually have the Adi Lace sock needles in the same size, which are sharper, but somehow I don't really like them as well. I'm just a higher kind of girl, I think. But yeah, these are the needles, and the yarn I'm using is absolutely gorgeous, as I say every week. This is yarn from Fondant Fiber, and you all know my love for Fondant Fiber. So I'll show you her logo. This is the Fondant Fiber logo. And she doesn't only dye yarn, she also dyes fiber and makes project bags and stitch markers and soaps. And this is on her Spangle base, which is her merino nylon Selena base in the colorway Brigadoon. I'm never sure how to say that. But I'm not sure if you can see the sparkle in my messy cake. Oh yeah, you can. It's really gorgeous, and I bought this yarn. This is the only skein of yarn from her that I have in a huge order back in February when I felt absolutely miserable because I had my wisdom teeth out. So I, in advance, said to myself that I was going to allow myself one really nice order. So this was the thing I ordered when I was feeling really miserable. And yeah, so I've kind of been saving it, and these socks will probably always remind me of my wisdom teeth, but yeah, I really like them. So that's my first work in progress. And I'm really planning to finish that relatively soon, maybe tonight, because I just really want to have them off the needles. I have 4 works in progress at the moment, plus my blanket, and I feel like at the moment I'd like to go down a few projects and then I can make more progress. So yeah. The next thing I'd like to show you is my Squishylicious shawl for the Squishy Cow, which is in a bag made by me, and it's covered in fiber. So, let me show you the yarn first that I'm using. So, the yarn that I'm using for the main body, and I think I'm going to do a contrasting color, but I haven't decided 100% yet. This is Life in the Long Grass in the Garden Party colorway. So here's Life in the Long Grass. And it's on the dappled base, which is a 75% wool, 25% nylon. superwash. And I think for the border I might use this contrasting color, which is a Malabrigo Finito skein. Come on, focus. And the light is really not working out too well right now, I'm sorry about that. But this is in the lavender colorway, or lavanda, I'm not quite sure. And I think these ones go very nicely together, even though the Malabrigo is a little bit thicker. I think it might just work fine. But yeah, I'm planning to knit the larger version with the contrasting border, but I'm not 100% set on that yet. So, my Squishalicious shawl, I've made some progress, but not as much as I'd like. And it's also cramped up on the needles because I have it on 80 centimeter needles, or I think that's 40 inch. Is it? No, it's 30 inch, so they're quite short. But let me just try to stretch it out a little. You can see the progress keeper is where I was last week. So I have made quite a bit of progress, and you can really see the textured pattern is coming out quite well. I love these colors of the shawl. I think they're quite unusual, and they're not really something I would go for all the time, but I really, really like them. And I just realized I had my head out of the picture, so that's not good. But yeah, I wish I could show this to you better. I really can't. But it's coming along, and I might move it onto a larger needle. The reason why I'm keeping it on the 80 centimeter one right now is because it's a fixed circular and it's my Addi lace needles. And for shawl knitting, these are just my favorite needles. So if I had to go onto a larger cable, I'd have to move them onto my Knit Pro Nova interchangeables, which I do also really like, but these ones are just my favorites, so I'm trying to keep them on here as long as I can. But yeah, it's moving along nicely. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles on Addi lace, like I said. And I think the yarn is knitting up super pretty. In fact, I was looking at some more of their colorways before because I really quite like them. And I ordered this yarn from meinwollshop.de. If you're in Germany, you might be interested in that. So that's my Squishalicious, and like I said, we have the knit along and it goes until July 31st. So in the beginning I was purposely trying not to speed through this, but now I feel like I really need to just get cracking and knit a little bit more on it because I'm falling behind you guys. And I get quite competitive about my knitting. So, my next work in progress, which is in this bag from Diary of a Yarn Snob from Julie, is my Shawl Society shawl. So if you're not familiar, the Shawl Society is a pattern collection by Helen Stewart of the Curious Handmade podcast, and she has started this Shawl Society where you join up, and then for 6 months you get a pattern for a shawl every month. So it's not really like a mystery knit along, but you have to buy it in advance because the patterns will only be released individually for everyone on Ravelry after November, I think. So of course I had to join, and the first pattern came out on June 9th, and everyone has been so fast in knitting theirs up. I'm really, really impressed. Like, I tend to think I'm a fast knitter, but everyone's already finished, and they're doing the large size, and yeah, impressive. So the shawl the first shawl is called the Talisman shawl, and I decided to knit from stash because I think I'd like to knit most of these projects from stash. And the yarn is from Drachenwolle. This is Drachenwolle, who's a German indie dyer, and they never have their colorway names on the tags, which means that I can't tell you what it is because I bought this quite a long time ago. But this is her merino lace singles yarn, so it's not plied. Oops. I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'm not very good at this new camera setup yet, obviously. But it's this sort of brownish purple, I suppose, with all these specks, and I really like it. It's actually not something that I usually use. It's very much out of my comfort zone, but I really, really like it. And I have definitely rediscovered my love of knitting with singles because singles yarn is just so amazing. And yeah, I've made a crazy amount of progress on this. Again, it's scratched up on the needles, But you can see the progress keeper down there is where I was last week. So I have made a ridiculous amount of progress, I think. So it is a crescent-shaped shawl, but I really can't show it to you very well because, yeah, this is sort of the idea of it. And because I'm using a variegated yarn, you don't really see the pattern too well, but I think once I block it out, it'll be better. Because there's these little star stitches in here, and they're really pretty, and they're also really fun to knit. I find them really, really hard to show on this podcast. I'm not sure what's wrong with that. But anyways, I know that it's not the perfect yarn choice for this pattern, but I really don't care because I just think it's going to be a really nice sort of staple piece for my wardrobe, and it'll go perfectly with all of my coats, and you can just throw it over something in summer. And it is so drapey and squishy, and the yarn is just gorgeous, and I love it very much. So yeah, I'm knitting the medium size in lace weight yarn, which is not really what you're supposed to do. But yeah, I'm using this lace weight yarn, and I think it only has about 600 meters per 100 grams. So I wasn't quite confident enough to do the large size, so I chose to do the medium size. And I went down to 3.5 millimeter needles, which is US size 4. And so far it's working out really well, and the pattern gives you percentages of how much you've done, and that that way you can always check how much yarn you have left. And I am 70% done, I think, and I have plenty of yarn, so I think I should be just fine. And this is already looking quite large, so I think it's going to be a nice size sort of shawl. Like, hang on, so this is the middle, so you can see one side is already really, really long. So yeah, that's my talisman shawl by Helen Stewart. I'm really enjoying it. I'm knitting this on my Knit Pro Nova interchangeables, and they're working really well. So I have mixed feelings about my Knit Pro Nova needles. Generally, I would definitely recommend them just because they have a really, really good price point. So if you want a cheap set of interchangeable needles, these ones are definitely your go-to needles. And also, you never know if you're going to like them, so I don't really want to invest a crazy amount of money into the Addy Clicks or even the Hayas because they're just really expensive, and I feel like you don't really know until you've tried them. So these ones are really, really good standard needles, and I use them quite a lot. And when it comes to really tight knitting, I prefer different needles just because sometimes they do have a tiny bit of a join. But for this sort of project where I'm knitting on a loose gauge anyways, they're perfect. And yeah, I really, really like them. So my last work in progress kind of leads into acquisitions because I was sent some yarn to a review. So I think I'll show you the yarn first because and then I'll go into what I'm knitting with it because I've already cast on the first skein because I was really, really curious. So a lovely person on Instagram whose name is Anna, and her Instagram is Anna's Sockenland. She's a German yarn dyer, and she just started selling her yarn on Etsy and Davanda. And she asked me if I would like to test some of her yarns. And actually, I think I haven't told her that, but the day when she asked me that was when I had wrecked my back, and I was really quite miserable, and I was sitting in hospital waiting for the doctor, and I got her message, and I was really, really excited about that, and that really made my day. So anyways, I spent that day, like 2 weeks ago, picking my yarns, and I think it took about 3 hours stalking all of her Etsy and Davanda store until I made my choices. And then she just sent me 2 skeins of yarn to try, which is just amazing. So the first one, like I said, I've already skeined up, so I put in a photo here of what the yarns looked in a skein. So she sent me 1 skein of her, she said I could choose 1 skein of her normal sock base and 1 skein of her glitter base. So I'll show you the glitter base first. And she says she's going to make different tags. These are just the ones that she has at the moment because she's still figuring out what she's doing. But this is the Feuer Glut colorway on her glitter base. So you can see it's very, very glittery, and it has, I chose this one because I thought it was kind of out of my comfort zone. It's not pink, it's actually really, really red, and then it has these really dark areas, and I really like it. And I think this would be really pretty for a sort of slightly patterned sock, because it's not tonal, but it's also not very, very crazy. So I think this would be really, really good for a lot of projects. And the second one, I've already caked up, slash my sister actually hand bound this for me because I had sent this to my parents' place and she was really, really excited about it. And I said, well, if you want to hand bind it for me, I'm happy to knit something out of it. So she did. So this is the pink husky, or rosa husky colorway in her 75-25 sock base. And I really, really like this base. I haven't tried the other one before, so I can't really say too much about it. Oh god, I've made a mess. Yeah, but this base I really like. It's a Atelier Citron base, I think, and I have started knitting a sock out of it. So for those of you who didn't know what that thing in the price was before, this is a DPN cozy, and you just put your needles in here, and when you want to knit it, you just open it up, and you can take the needles out, and you don't lose any stitches. So this is the sock that I'm knitting. I actually really wanted to knit a Hermione's Everyday sock, and I started, but I ripped it back because it didn't really work with the busy yarn. So now I did a 2x2 rib for 20 rows, and then I'm just knitting 14 rows in stockinette and then 1 row in a purl, so it gives me this sort of garter bump, because I just wanted a tiny bit of interest in the sock. I just didn't want it to be completely plain. And I really, really like how this is knitting up. So you can see I spread through this. This was pretty much my moving knitting, because I could just knit on this without thinking, and it felt like I was just knitting a little bit, and then it was already time to knit in another garter row. It just went really, really quickly. So I put in a Fishlips Kiss heel, and now I'm onto the foot. I have maybe just a little bit over half of the foot to go, and then I'll put in my toe. So as for the review, I really, really like this yarn. I think it's going to wear really well because it is soft, but it's also sturdy enough. I feel like this won't just fall apart, because some of the really, really nice soft yarns, they tend to pill really quickly, but this one just feels nice and sturdy. I really, really like the space. In fact, I might have to ask her about some more of this because I really like it. I really like how the colors are working up. Like, it's a really sort of interesting effect. It's not just, you know, strapping or pulling, but it does these really interesting sort of shades, and I really like how that's working out. And she also had a lot of different options, so she has more toned down skeins, and she has more crazy skeins, and I just tried to pick something. Well, first of all, I tried to not pick two things that are pink. And I chose these two because this one is quite variegated and this one is a little bit more solid, or just a different sort of dyeing style, so I have an idea of both of these things. But yeah, I really, really like how it's knitting up, and you can see the stitch definition is really, really nice on this yarn as well. So I'll definitely finish these and wear these and keep you updated on how I like them after washing them. But so far I really like them. So if you're interested, her Etsy store is annasockenland.etsy.com, and she's also on Davanda, and I will link all of that in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. And thank you so much, Anna, for letting me try this yarn. She sent me the most amazing letter, like a 2-page handwritten letter about the story of her knitting and yarn dyeing, and I thought that was just incredible because I mean, I don't even know many people who write letters anymore these days, and it was just really, really nice. And she said she was actually quite worried about asking me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. And, you know, I think we're both really happy about it. And I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but doing a review or reviewing something was really one of the things that I wanted to do this year. So I have this sort of mental list of things that I would like to do this year. It's like I really wanted to publish a pattern, and that's worked out, and I really wanted to do some reviews. So the fact that this opportunity just kind of came along and she sent me this gorgeous yarn to try, it just was perfect. So yeah, these socks I'm actually knitting on 64 stitches, and these are my favorite needles, the Higher Sharps, DPNs, 2.25 millimeters, and they're the 15 centimeters ones. And they're very, very sharp, but I really enjoy them. And with some yarns, these tend to make like split the yarn, but with this yarn, because it's not very splitty in general, it's got a nice ply to it. Yeah, it's pretty perfect. So that is my first acquisition and also my last work in progress. And I'll put all of this in the show notes because I really feel like I just might have messed up the details of this yarn because, yeah, I got this while moving and stuff went a little bit crazy. So moving on to my other acquisitions. First of all, I had some stitch markers and they just flew off in my project bag because I had them in there for too long. So let me just grab these. So my sister actually bought me some stitch markers and they were on this pretty paper, but as you can see, no more. But they went to some kind of marketplace for all sorts of creative stuff, and she got these stitch markers, which are handmade by this place called Kreativinsel. I'm not sure, I don't think they have a web page or anything, because she just bought that on the market and it doesn't say anything here, but if they do and I'll find it, I'll definitely put it in the show notes. And the stitch markers that she picked for me are just adorable. And a kiwi and the leaf and a strawberry, and they're just adorable. And I can't wait to use them. And I thought it was so sweet that my sister actually got these for me. And I also got 3 skeins of yarn, and I actually haven't ordered these recently. But like I said, the last few weeks I've been ordering stuff to my parents' house because we were moving and I didn't know how fast stuff was going to arrive. So even though I ordered these things like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I finally got them. So first of all, I got another skein of Piratenwolle. You might remember I knit a pair of blueberry waffles socks out of their yarn before. So I just picked this one because, you know me, I like pink things, I like speckled things, and this has both. So this is their standard sock base, 75/25. I've talked about this yarn before. I feel like it's one of the more sturdy sock yarns, but I really like it. And you can see here, it's got some really nice sort of speckles and stuff going on. I really like it. I'm not sure if the color is 100% true on the camera. It is pink, but it also has sort of like touches of peach, which are not really coming across. But yeah, I think this will be another beautiful pair of socks. And I really like Drachenwolle. I don't know, I always say I really like them and I like all of their colorways, and then I always only order one. But I guess it's good to be buying stuff in moderation because my stash is quite huge. And then my next and last purchase was completely influenced by my 2 sisters, because we were just looking at yarns, and then the older one, Pauline, she is the worst enabler in the world. Like, I don't know, like, my boyfriend sometimes enables me, but Pauline, she's always like, oh yeah, just get it. Oh, it's not much money. Oh, you should totally get it. You need it. It's fun. And she always gets me to buy yarn. So I'm glad I don't see her that often because my stash would be triple the size. So, we got 2 skeins of yarn, and actually all of the yarns that I just showed you, like this one and these 2, they were all on sale because Stabanda had a May sale where you had 15% off a lot of sellers' yarns. So actually all of this was ridiculously cheap. So anyways, it was on sale, which of course made it hard to resist. So I got these 2 skeins of yarn from Strickaholic, and this is her glitter base. It is active superwash, 71% wool, 24% polyamide, 5% polyester. I think it actually might be the same base as this one from Anna because they have the same content. But anyways, this doesn't have a colorway name, I believe. But you can see this one is pretty crazy. It's actually crazier than I thought it would be, because it's got these pinks and yellows, but then up here, this is really neon green. Like, I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but it's between a highlighter yellow and green. So this is really, really crazy. I'm very curious to see how this will knit up, but I think it'll be super fun for a pair of socks. It kind of reminded me of Bärenwolle in the way that it's very bright and crazy, and I love it. And this skein is a little bit less crazy, and I really like this one as well. It's got these sort of shades of navy and red and also purple and pink. And again with the glitter. So I think I'm pretty much set for glitter sock yarn for a while. So I just edited most of the podcast and realized that my phone didn't record my life in general section. So I'm just going to re-record that really quickly. So life in general, if you don't want to stick around for this, quickly I'll just tell you where you can find me. And you can find me on Ravelry as Wuepfi, which is Wuepfi. You can find me on Instagram as the Happy Knitting Podcast, and we also have a Ravelry group called the Happy Knitting Podcast group on Ravelry. And that's where you can introduce yourself. That's where we have all the knit-alongs or giveaways, and I also have the show notes in there. So for every episode I will create a thread which has all the links and the video and everything in it. And also we have an Ask Away where you can ask me questions, anything you like to see or know about me or my podcast. And yeah, I think that's about it. So if you don't want to stick around for the life in general section, that's totally fine. But if you do, then I'll just quickly talk to you about my move and everything related to that. So before I get into my move, there's something I wanted to talk about last week and completely forgot about it. So I actually met a viewer 2 weeks ago. I had been recording a podcast and she wrote to me on Instagram about yarn shops in Würzburg, which was the city where I lived at that point. And I just honestly replied to her and said, well, I don't think there's any really great ones there, but you could try this and that. And completely forgot about that and went to a coffee shop where I used to work to meet my friend. So I was sitting down for coffee and all these people were, coming and going, and I know all of the stuff, so, there's always a bit of craziness. And suddenly this person walks up to me, and at first I thought it must have to do with the coffee shop. But she was actually a viewer of my podcast and introduced herself, and it was just so nice. And I was totally surprised, and I think maybe I didn't react too well, but I was really, really, really excited to meet you, and I just wanted to say sorry if I was a little bit off. I just really didn't expect that, and that's never happened to me before. And for me, it's this thing that I know, obviously, if I'm recording myself talking, people are going to watch it, but then to actually have someone, like a real person who knows me from my podcast, that was just a bit mind-blowing. So yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning, and that was really fun, and at the same time very surprising to me. So yeah, that happened, and I completely forgot to mention it last week. So last week when I talked to you, that was on the Friday before we moved. So we packed all of our things, and on Saturday morning the movers came. They came at like 7 o'clock, so we got up at 6 and organized some stuff. And for those of you who haven't watched before, I had some back issues, so I was actually not supposed to do or carry or do anything. But of course with the move you can't really help it, so it was super, super exhausting. I think they moved all of our things out within 2 hours. With some drama because we had ordered 50 boxes, but somehow they messed up the order, so they only got us 20 boxes and they had 10 spares, so we had 30 boxes, and they were really worried about running out of boxes, but in the end I think it just worked out, and within 2 hours they had taken all of our stuff and took the truck to my parents' place where they had to pick up some more things. And we spent most of the day cleaning, and it was really, really exhausting, let me tell you. It was cleaning a place, to be like after moving out is just so much work, and it was very, very exhausting. So when we finally left and drove down to my hometown and said goodbye to the apartment, I was so relieved and so happy. I thought it might be really sad to leave the apartment, which I had been living at that apartment for over 2 years, and I lived in Würzburg for about 4.5 years. But actually, I was just really, really excited and happy. And as I told you before, we'd had some issues with our landlord, so the end of our stay was really not that pleasant. So I was just feeling really great about what's ahead. And yeah, so we spent the night at my parents' place because that is pretty much on the way. And it was really nice to just settle down there and eat some good food because we'd been living off takeaway and easy meals and stuff for a long time prior to moving. And on Sunday, we drove down to Munich, which is where we live now. So going into our apartment for the first time after, seeing it when we inspected it with the landlords felt really, really weird because there's none of our stuff there. And the first night was quite good, but it still felt a little bit weird, and I was really excited to get our stuff. So thank God our stuff arrived all well on Monday morning. Again, it was super exhausting, and we spent a lot of time unpacking and carrying stuff around because, like, bedroom stuff ended up in the kitchen, and kitchen stuff ended up on the balcony, and so on. And we did a huge IKEA trip, which was actually quite funny because we drove with my car, and my car is a tiny Fiat 500, so not exactly the car you'd need to transport things from IKEA. So we measured the car and we got everything we wanted, a desk and some shelves, and actually I wasn't feeling very well at all then, so I actually refrained from buying any of the useless stuff I usually buy at IKEA, so that was really good. But then we tried to get the shelf into the car and we tried to get it in several ways and it wouldn't fit. And in the end we finally got it into the car by like centimeters. It just worked. But it meant that my boyfriend who was driving and like he couldn't see anything to his right because the big desk cardboard box was literally up to the front, from the front of the car to the back of the car. So I was sitting next to him, but we couldn't see each other, and it was really, really dangerous. I was really worried that something might happen or that we might get stopped by the police because that just couldn't have been good. And of course, we had to go through the city traffic in a city where we really don't know where we're going. And yeah, I was just so relieved when we got back, and we got back in one piece, and the desk got there. We actually did kind of wreck my car. We didn't wreck my car, but we managed to mess up my car a little bit, which was quite sad because the desk was in a cardboard box, so I didn't think something would happen. But apparently, when we put it into the car, we kind of rested it on where you open the boot, and we made some traces, left some traces there, which was not good. But I mean, my car is a city car, and I've had it for about 5 years, so it's not a huge deal. And it's had its scrapes before, but still, it's a little bit painful. But yeah, we got our things, and Kai actually built it up, and so now I'm actually sitting at my desk in front of the window. And yeah, I think all in all, the move went really well. Like, it was so exhausting. I think I've never been that tired and exhausted in my life. It was also the biggest move that I've done ever. And I mean, we've been living together before, which I think made it easier, but that just meant that we had so much stuff. But yeah, I mean, the car was the only thing that we really messed up, but everything else worked out really well. So I think in the big picture, that's a really good outcome. So the next few days, Kai was working full time, and I was, running through all the authorities to get registered and to get a car park thing. And of course, all these authorities are in different places all over the city, so that was quite painful. But yeah, we settled in okay, and we actually unpacked everything really, really quickly, which was stressful, but that means that I think we were able to settle in very quickly as well, because I was really worried to not be able to feel at home for a while, but the place really feels like our home already, and I'm really, really happy about that. So, we had a first meal in our new kitchen, and we're using our dishwasher. We didn't have to have a dishwasher before, so that's amazing. The one thing that Kai wanted when we moved was a soda streamer to make, bubbly water and all sorts of things that you can make, and he's super excited about that. Of course, I am very excited to have this room, which will be for my crafting and also, of course, my office. And that feels really, really great. It feels great to be recording a podcast and not be sitting in my living room. And yeah, I'm really, really happy. So yeah, I actually spent the last 2 days in my hometown. I had to go back for some reason. And I really didn't want to, just because it didn't fit in with my plans at all. But it was really nice. I spent some time with my sisters, and it did feel really good to go back and yeah, spend some quality time with them. And then I had so much train drama. I generally hate taking the trains in Germany. I mean, everyone who isn't from Germany says they are really fantastic, but I think all of us Germans, we kind of hate German trains. At least I do. And of course, already on the way there was my train was an hour late, and it was huge trouble. In the end, I actually managed to just jump on another train and get there. But yeah, so I was quite worried about going back, and of course the same thing happened going back. I think I had to change trains 4 times, and the first train had a delay. So that meant I missed all of my trains and had to change. And because my phone is being really crappy lately, I'm always worried about it running out of battery, and my phone is the only thing I can rely on when you have to find new connections. So when I finally arrived in Munich, I was quite exhausted and sick of my phone, and I think I'm going to pick a new one soon. But my boyfriend picked me up and he took me on a surprise date, and that was so nice. Like, we walked what felt like all over town and went to there's this little like alleyway near Sendlinger Tor, if you're from Munich. I'm sure all of you guys who live here know this, but there's this place where you, like, in between houses, there's just this sort of like lots of little restaurants, and there's this one restaurant or coffee shop that is all flowers and statues and palm trees and little umbrellas, and we just sat down there, and I was sitting in front of all these flowers, and Kai took a photo of me, which I posted on Instagram if you're interested. And we had some amazing dinner. I had some Thai curry, and it was just so nice to be sitting outside in our new hometown. And yeah, so this is our first weekend here together because Kai's not working, obviously. And we have all these plans of things that we're going to do. I'm actually going to stop recording very soon because we're going to a really, really nice yarn store. One that I don't think I'll be able to afford anything, but I might just break the bank and treat myself. I'm not sure yet. And we're meeting some friends of Kai's later. I'm really excited to be meeting people because obviously I don't know anyone here, and I do feel a little bit lonely because I don't have any friends here. And it's hard to make friends when you're working from home, because if I was studying or if I was working, I'd, of course, make lots of friends and connections very quickly. But because I'm writing my thesis at home, it's quite hard. So yeah, if you have any tips or places or groups or anything that you can recommend, do let me know. So yeah, that's something I need to really, figure out. Because I really want to build a life here, and I want to, build a home here. I want to be living here for a long time, and I do miss my friends at home. Anyways, my back is going much better. Thank you for everyone who sent me well wishes. I've had 2 sessions of manual therapy now, and I'm having 4 more, and they've really been helping, so I'm a lot more mobile now. My thesis has been going very well. I finally started my survey, and it is running now, and I'm worried about not having enough people partake because I have quite a limited sort of group of people that I need for my survey, but it's finally running, and I think I need about 300 people, and I have about 95 right now, so I'm hoping that the numbers will go up. But yeah, things are going very well, and yeah, I think now I'm just rambling on, and I really don't want to record forever because, like I said, we have some plans, and because I recorded before and it didn't record, I'm kind of behind on my schedule. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you decide to join the Squishylicious Cow, the Squishy Cow. I will record again next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be the weekend or the Monday after. Long term, I think I want to go back to Monday recording, but right now things are still shifting around a little, so I just don't know yet. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great week, and you're doing well, and you're having lots of knitting to keep you happy. And yeah, let me know if there's anything you want to tell me or ask, or any suggestions you have. Have a great week, everyone. Bye!